Hello and welcome. You'll notice my dog Cujo and possibly my cat Dax. They're obsessed with everything I do. I can't help it. Anyway, today we're talking about cages. Hi Cujo. Hi baby. We're talking about cages today, and what's good rat cage and what's not a good rat cage. So basically what I did is I went to Petco, PetSmart, Amazon, and a couple of other websites, and I just looked up rat cage and the most popular results I took some notes on, and we're going to talk about them. So let's begin. Let's start with Petco. So the first one to pop up on Petco was the Preview Rat and Chinchilla cage, and that cage is approximately $173 as of right now. So like a couple of disclaimers, obviously any price could change at any point, and the products could be adjusted at any point. So the chinchilla cage is approximately $173. It has 3/8 bar spacing, which is a very specific one I haven't seen before, but 3/8 bar spacing. And it has a wire flooring. So wire flooring is something you want to avoid in rat cages because it's very uncomfortable on their feet. There is a misconception that wire flooring can cause bumblefoot, but that is not actually what causes bumblefoot. Bumblefoot is a bacterial infection. So if they get a cut on their foot, bacteria gets in it, it can cause bumblefoot, and it can also be caused by a rat being overweight. So the best way to avoid bumblefoot is to, keep the cage clean, and keep your rat a healthy weight.
And give him lots of kisses.
Yeah, and give him lots of kisses.
That's my medical advice.
But the other thing with the wire spacing or the wire flooring is a lot of companies will put wire flooring. Do you want me to fix that for you? Oh my God. My dog's bed's messed up and she's not pleased. She's a little queen. Anyway, they have the wire flooring because it makes it easier to clean up. They put bars over top of a tray that you pull out, and supposedly all the pee and poop just falls right through. However, if you've ever had a small animal, you know that if you get a cage like that and you actually try to use it like that, you're going to regret every decision you've ever made. So the Preview has that, and it also has, I do have the sizes and I am going to read them because I'm not that good with numbers, but it's 31 inches by 20.5 inches by 40 inches. And that can hold approximately 5 rats. So rats come in various sizes. You can't necessarily say what works for one mischief will work for another. So if you have 5 small female rats, it's going to have a vastly different effect on the cage and the cleanliness than having 5 large male rats, obviously. So when I say the sizes of the rat, or the group size that can fit in the cage, it is really just an approximate, and there's a conversation going on right now about whether or not floor space is more important than height. In my opinion, rats are one of the most adjustable animals in existence. They will adapt to any environment. So none of my rats in my tall cages spend really hardly any time at the bottom of the cage. I know.
I just want to say the very corner of this frame is just Cujo. Please.
Anyway, in my tall cages, my rats spend hardly no time at the bottom because I scatter feed throughout the entire cage just to make them actually have to go look for food to properly forage it. And then this cage, they do spend a fair bit of time at the bottom, but there's not a ton of height.
Oh, sorry, our camera woman is licking my feet.
Our camera woman is?
Yeah. What?
Are you the camera woman?
I'm not the camera woman. I'm the producer.
Anyway, so this group spends a lot of time at the bottom, but if I put a topper onto this cage, I guarantee they'd spend all their time at the very top like my other rats do. So rats are going to use the space you give them. So you really have to find what works best for your mischief. So with the Preview Rat and Chinchilla cage, I don't personally think it's a very good cage for rats. It's definitely not a good cage for chinchillas. Chinchillas are a lot bigger than people think they are. Do not put a chinchilla in this cage. So the bar spacing's good. You want about 1/2 inch bar spacing, but because of the wire grate on bottom, it's not great. I will also say, I have a friend who owns this cage as like a secondary backup cage, and she had some thoughts. This is how my friend described her, like, her chinchilla cage, her experience with it. She said, I would say this is a good cage whether you are introducing new friends or having your first cage. It's easy to clean despite the small door and easy to decorate. Now, there's the faults and why I wouldn't recommend this cage overall. The bottom of the cage is entirely bars, so to keep the rat's feet comfy, you have to cover it with tiles or something of the sort. It's hard to have foraging in this cage because it's possible to find a bin that fits this cage, and because the door is small, you have to be crafty to fit large bins inside. The bottom slides out for easy cleaning, but here's another fault. With adventurous ratties, you have to zip tie the bottom shut because I've had experience with rats being able to slide it open a little, which makes escaping very possible. She did have an escape from a chonky boy, so he was huge, the one that escaped. So, like, if you have a female rat, be very careful. Let's see. The bar spacing is nice and small, however, they are vertical, so it makes climbing a little harder for them. So I put more ledges in this cage for more climbing comfort. If looking for a temp cage, this works, but long term, I highly recommend a more secure cage with a solid floor. If it wasn't for the bottom and small door, I'd probably recommend this cage more. So that's my friend who's had rats almost as long as I have. I've had rats for 13 years. Dax, may I?
Oh my gosh, she's taking the notebook. Our other producer is making this harder.
Can I have this back? Thank you, my love. Thank you. All right, so next we have the KT Rat Home, which...
That's what we call my bedroom.
I'm going to blast through this one because this cage, it pops up whenever you look up rat cage, but it is not a suitable cage at all. It is approximately $75 with half-inch bar spacing. It has a plastic bottom. So the thing with plastic bottoms is they work if you have rats that don't chew a lot. If you have rats that chew a lot, like for example, my three weather girls, Sunny, Cloud, and Fog, they would be out of that in 12 hours. They would chew a hole in that corner and be gone before you could blink an eye. So that's the problem with plastic bottoms, but I've had several cages with plastic bottoms and only once have my rats chewed through it, but they chewed through it in about 2 weeks after I spent $150 on it. So, you know, up to you. But it's only 25 inches by 12 inches by 14 inches, so it can house only one rat, which means it can't house rats. It's way too small. You need at least 2 rats. You need way more space, I'd say, even for one. It's a very small cage. This would work okay as a hospital cage or maybe a travel cage if you're going, like, a long distance. But even then, iffy.
Which cage would be best for, like, a human baby?
I believe those are called cribs. Those are baby cages. Some even come with a lid.
I know, we used to have them. Those are fun.
Next up, we have the You and Me Rat Manor. The You and Me Rat Manor. So this is approximately $175. It shot up $100 like last year. It used to be $65, which is about what this cage is worth. It has half-inch bar spacing, a metal bottom, wire shelving that you have to take out because, again, it's not comfortable on the feet and they're impossible to clean. Your cage will be filthy all the time. And it's about 16.5 by 22.5 by 32 and can house 2 to 3 rats depending on the size. Here's the thing. So the You and Me brand is Petco's brand. Like, that's their products that they sell, that they manufacture and sell themselves. All Petco products are shit. Hello, my love. In my opinion, all Petco products are shit. I've had a couple of versions of the Rat Manor. The first one I bought was in about 2010 because the Rat Manor's been around a long time. It is also a bad cage. I hate it. So
I hate it also. I'll give my review. Don't.
So the thing with the Rat Manor is it has very sharp edges, so when you're putting stuff into the cage, you're going to get sliced to bits. Like, I have so many scratches from that stupid cage. Furthermore, the bars are extremely weak. They're extremely weak. I have to be very careful what I put in there because I remember once I had like a heavy rope in there and 2 of the bars just broke. They just broke right off.
No matter how, if you don't mind me interjecting, no matter how secure you have the bottom, it feels rickety also.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when you lift it, it has those annoying tabs in the bottom now. I don't know what it had when we were teenagers. Ma'am?
You good? It had similar tabs, except they were, instead of just like straight out metal, it was like
it
a
curved,
hook.
At least.
It was a hook.
But now no matter what you do, it feels like it's on wrong, and then it makes you freak out. And then also, if the bottom rusts and breaks apart, your rat can escape, because our friend has one that she got rid of it. She doesn't use it anymore. But the bottom rusted, and like a rat could crawl through it.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite of what you want a cage for.
And then furthermore...
You're covering Sailor. There you go.
Furthermore,
I'm sorry,
the doors, they have this like security measure where there's a metal hook that hooks onto the door latch so that the rat can't push it open. We have to have extra clips on the corners of this cage because we've had it to where like 3 rats hit that door and it just fell right open, even with the hook. So like that doesn't work. And also, this cage is one of those cages where the corners fold together. So if you're familiar with rat cages or any kind of small animal cages, a lot of them come disassembled but in one piece, and you take the sides and you lift them up and you weave them together with hooks. The Rat Manor has this, but it's a very poor design to where there's a big gap at the top for most of these cages. And because of that, when Riffy, who's in this cage somewhere, was a baby...
You're sneaking.
When Riffy was a baby, she got her toe in between that gap. I wasn't in the room, so I didn't see it happen. I just found her. Her toe was in the gap, and I think what she did was she either fell or she tried to slide down, but basically her foot went down to the part where the edges were very close together, and it just sliced right through her toe. So I just heard a ton of squeaking, and I came in, and I found Riffy stuck in the cage, like her foot was stuck, because her toe was mostly severed, but still hanging in there. And that's because of the gap in the cage. So I had to, with one panicking rat and 2 other rats, which is Sailor and Heidi, also panicking because they don't know how to help their sister, pull the bars apart so she could get free. So the Rat Manor sucks. It's a bad cage. Yeah, I know. She needs a lot of attention.
It's just funny when her head pops up in frame like a little whack-a-dog.
Next we have the KT multi-level small animal cage. It is approximately $175, right? No, approximately $160. It has 1/2-inch bar spacing, which is nice. And a plastic bottom, which again, if you have a chewer, that's a problem. If you don't have a chewer, it's not a problem. Keep in mind, if you don't have rats, you're not going to know if they're a chewer until you have them. And then it is 30.5 inches by 18 by 30. It can hold approximately 3 rats. So I've had a version of this cage 13 years ago, back when it was still the Super Pet cage. I don't know if KT bought that company out or if they rebranded or what, but that's what it used to be a long time ago, and this cage is okay. Again, rats can chew through it. It's not metal. The bars aren't metal. They're like a sturdy kind of plastic, and it's one of those cages that folds together along the sides. So for $160, my opinion is save up for a couple more paychecks and get a better cage.
I think the final opinion is going to be, don't get rats unless you can get a Critter Nation, because everything else sucks in comparison.
I do have many Critter
That's
Nations.
the truth. I've experienced several cages, and just the best to, I'll just put this in the middle of the video, the best to clean, the easiest to clean, best for the rats.
Yeah.
The most aesthetically pleasing, the most convenient. There's nice storage space on the bottom. I'll be the Vanna White for Critter Nations.
All right, next up, we're moving on to PetSmart. Obviously, you know, get cages where you want to get cages. Just make sure to get a good cage. But also, there is like a moral issue with Petco and PetSmart with how they treat animals. So just keep that in mind as I go through these.
Yeah, I discovered that through TikTok, that they just throw animals in the garbage when they're alive. There's people who go dumpster diving specifically to go look for animals, because there's a woman who found birds in the garbage, and she took them home and just has birds now.
There's some debate in the animal community how real those are, but I will say I have seen them throw away live fish. I've witnessed with my 2 eyes someone take a live fish out of the tank and dump it.
I've seen people who've at least claimed to be employees. I know at the very least, like many stores, they throw away good merchandise that they destroy instead of giving it away for free because God forbid.
Yeah. I also know that a lot of the animals that they get in that are sick just live the rest of their lives in a bucket in the back because they're not sellable anymore.
Didn't they stop with their rats partially because the way they would hydrate them was they just throw citrus in there and citrus kills what gender?
If a male rat has a ton of citrus, it has to be a lot. It can give them, I believe, cancer. It's the D-lemon. I can't say that, but the white part basically is not good for them. So like, it's not great for them. I still avoid it, but it's not as dangerous as we used to think.
What we can say for certain is we know that those animals aren't great in the store. I was a kid and I got like hamsters and it's like they're not in the right enclosures. They're not, they're not getting time spent with them.
Yeah, so definitely don't get pets from pet stores. It's best to either rehome, rescue, or go to a reputable breeder for small pets. Especially with like guinea pigs and rabbits, there's so many in rescues or that are being rehomed because people get them and don't realize what they're getting into. So, just a conversation worth having. But anyway, so the PetSmart brand is Full Cheeks. We're going to be talking about only Full Cheeks products for this. And yes, my other camera woman, my one with thumbs, is laughing behind
your producer.
You're okay. Anyway, so we're going to start with...
I'm the Dick Wolf of this show.
The Full Cheeks Chew Proof Small Pet Habitat. By the way, anytime something says chew proof, don't trust it. Anyway, so this one is approximately $200. It has 1/2-inch bar spacing by my guess, based on the pictures. I'm usually pretty good at guessing if a cage has 1/2-inch bar spacing on the pictures, but it didn't say anywhere on the Shein Prime.
Just her ear.
It doesn't say anywhere in the description whether or not it is. It has a wire bottom. I think this is one of the cages. Its door is a little bit bigger, so you might be able to switch the wire bottom with the plastic bottom that's underneath it. But still, still not going to be deep enough.
The camera woman's attacking me.
And this one is 30.7 by 20.2 by roughly 46. So it can hold approximately 4 rats because some of that 46 is the base. So I subtracted 2 rats from the number. So this cage looks okay. Like, it looks sturdy. I don't know anyone who has had the cage. It has one door directly in the center that can open up and it looks decently sized. So, but again, for $200... For $200, you could get a single-story Critter Nation that can also house 4 rats.
Hold on. Why are you doing this?
You freaked Jinx out.
Oh my god. Oh, I'm so sorry, Jinx.
You're killing me. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about the Full Cheeks 4-story small pet habitat. The Full Cheeks 4-story small pet habitat. So this one is approximately $280. It has 1/2-inch bar spacing, a wire grate at the bottom. It has small doors and big doors. So basically it has 4 doors that open up like a double Critter Nation would, but it has small doors inside that can also open up. I assume that's for people who want to use this for birds. I don't really get the point for small animals though. In my opinion, if you're going to go with small animals, the small doors are just a hazard. And then it is 25 by 25 by 61 approximately. Again, I had to subtract a couple of rats because all these sizes go from the widest part of the cage to the tallest part of the cage. So it includes things like stands, which I'll talk about with the next cage. But, so I subtracted a couple of rats. It can hold approximately 8 rats. This cage looks okay. It's kind of funny looking to me because it's so narrow. So for kind of like a visual aid, a Critter Nation is 36 inches. So this is 25 inches. So it's like this wide from down there to over here. So it's like very narrow, but it's very tall. It's kind of strange looking to me. And it has a ton of shelving inside that looks like you take out really easily, which would be great for rats. And again, the wire grate, because it opens up so wide, it'd be really easy to replace that the bottom with something a lot deeper. So you can get a ton of substrate in there, which is great for rats. They need to be able to dig. The more substrate, the better. But, you know, I've never heard anyone talk about it, so I don't know how well it actually sells. Next up for PetSmart is the Full Cheeks Rat Starter Kit. I have opinions and I have
if it has
thoughts.
starter kit in the title, know that you shouldn't get it.
Basically, yes.
It's always like, oh, you need a house for your bunny? Here's this 1 foot by 1 foot hellhole.
Yeah, exactly.
Not suitable for even travel.
So this one's approximately $162. It has 1 inch or half-inch bar spacing, a plastic bottom, and it is 35 by 17.25 by 21.7. Gonna house approximately 3 rats. So here's the thing. Those measurements aren't really accurate, so I'm gonna say it can house probably 2 rats, because this cage has the bars sitting inside the plastic bottom with about this much space on either side of the bars with clips on the side, and this is to make it chew proof and to keep the substrate inside. If you've ever owned a rat, if you've ever known a rat, there is nothing on the planet that can keep all the substrate inside a cage. I have 4-inch sides here in my cage, and one of my rats, Heidi, will literally, when she's nesting, she will take a mouthful of bedding, and if she decides she doesn't like it, she pushes it through the bars.
And I'd like to add, my daughter Grant has a litter box with pellets in it, and every night I watch her get in there and pick it up with her mouth and hands and shove it with such ferocity that it shoots out of the bars somehow.
You cannot keep a rat from getting substrate out of the cage. If you want rats, you're just going to have to accept that there's going to be bedding on your floor. There's going to be poop on your floor sometimes. You're going to have to clean the walls behind the cage. Like, rats are very clean animals in themselves, but they're very messy animals too. These companies try to sell you products by making you think that you can very easily and conveniently keep these animals in your home. And the thing is, animals are not convenient. They poop, they pee, they need to eat, they need to go to the vet, they need attention. You're dedicating a huge chunk of your time and life and money to another living being. They are not convenient.
They say that so that kids can be, Mom, get me this easy animal because I want a pet. And because every company that sells animals is like, little kids get small pets. Little kids get hamsters and guinea pigs. So we have to sell it to Mom.
Yeah. And the thing is, you get these animals and then they behave badly and you blame the animal. Yeah, she just did air quotes. You blame the animal instead of looking at what you're doing, because animals do not behave, they don't have stress behaviors unless there's something wrong. And what you're assuming, like bar biting, biting you, pacing, all that stuff are stress behaviors. So if your animal is exhibiting that, you need to look at their enclosure, you need to do some research and figure out how to fix that behavior. So, also the rat starter kit, it comes with a bag of the Full Cheeks food. I wouldn't trust it. The Full Cheeks paper bedding. Nope. It's super dusty. It will smell. And if you're looking for a bedding that creates less of a mess, that is not it.
But for real, every pet starter pack is a scam. Mm-hmm. It's the cheapest materials that company makes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that Mom can be like, okay, I'll spend $10 on the hamster and $50 on the whole setup, and then I'm done with Christmas for Gary or whatever your kid's name is.
Yeah, and it comes with, I think, a flying saucer wheel, which is not, they're never big enough for rats. It's not good for any animal because they kind of curve their spine like this. And when your animal has a wheel, you want their spine to be as straight as possible. And it comes with, I think it's a nylon hammock.
What?
Yeah, it's like a really, I remember seeing it. It's like a really strange, like, material where, like, if you scratch your nails on it, you'll give yourself chills.
We have our vinyl hammock for those Arizona summers.
All right, now we're moving on to the Amazon cages. So we're starting with the 3-level Mick cage. So this is approximately $45. It has 3/8-inch bar spacing, a wire flooring, and it is 24 by 16 by 24. It can house approximately 2 rats. Don't get this cage. Like, for reference, I have all the pictures somewhere around my head. Don't get this cage. It is a bad cage. Like, first of all, there's no way to take out the wire flooring. There's no good way to get something over the wire flooring to protect your rat's feet. It's too small. It's cheap, yes, but you're gonna hate it. Like, just look at it. You're going to hate it. So, next up is the Polar Aurora 4-tier pet cage kit. Again, if it says kit, probably just avoid it. Just don't do it. It's approximately $120. It has 1/2-inch bar spacing, wire flooring. It's 20.47 by 20.47 by 38, and it can house approximately 3 rats. This one, again, for $120, you can just get better. And also, like, you know, I forgot to mention this at the beginning. A lot of these cages can be found for a better price secondhand in great condition. So definitely check that kind of thing out. But, you know, you might be able to fit something over the plastic or the wire flooring. But go for solid floors. It's so much easier to just get solid floors from the beginning. Next up, we have the Homey Pet 3-level cage. This is approximately $110. It has 0.7-inch bar spacing, so not suitable for most rats. A graded floor, which I think you can pull out. It looks like you might be able to pull it out, but I don't even want to imagine how disgusting those little holes in it would get after rats have been peeing on it for 2 weeks. Because, like, one thing to keep in mind is if your rats are peeing on wire flooring or graded flooring, all that pee is sitting on that and it's not actually being absorbed by the bedding below. So the smell of ammonia is just free. It is just out there stinking the place up. It also has, it is 35 by 24.8 by 16. It can house approximately 3 rats. Babies would be able to squeeze through the bars, I think. A 1/2-inch bar spacing is what you want to go for because small babies can get through very, very tight spaces. Next up, we have my favorite. We have the Critter Nation. So, the single-story Critter Nation is 24 by 36 by, not including the stand, approximately another 24. It can house 4 rats. The double Critter Nation is 24 by 36 by approximately 48 without the stand. It can house approximately 9 rats. It has huge doors. Makes it really easy to squeeze on in there and get stuff done. It has a solid floor, which you do have to replace because you're going to want deeper bedding. So I got these things, but you can also get a mixing bucket from Home Depot, which is nice and deep, or you can make your a custom bottom, and doing that because the doors open so wide is a lot easier than you might think. It has also got 1-inch bar space, or sorry, 1/2-inch bar spacing, and it is all metal, so it is very solid.
Warning to people looking for a Critter Nation, the Ferret Nation is very similar and the bar spacing is unacceptable, yeah. So be really careful because that one's cheaper and you'll be like, oh, this one's cheaper? You can't get it for a rat.
Yeah.
In case you were not going to say that.
I was, but I appreciate your introduction.
I'm looking out for you as your producer.
As another note to make, if you're looking for a single-story Critter Nation, in the same page on Amazon, they sell the topper. Don't get the topper because it doesn't come with a lid. You will be screwed. But anyway, it's also really easy to take the middle out of a double Critter Nation to make a nice wide open active layout. And you can also remove the sides to make double Critter Nations this way or quadruple Critter Nations if you have 2 doubles. So, like,
you get silly with it.
Yeah, exactly. I like Critter Nations. In America, we don't have very many options of cages like this that are affordable. I know in the UK there's a ton more because, of course, the UK has a ton more than America does for rats. But for America, I do feel like the Critter Nation is probably the best option if you can save up for it because it is not cheap. The single story is currently about $195 and the double is currently about $320. That price did shoot up a lot over the pandemic because when I got my first double Critter Nation, which was this one, I spent how much is the first one? Okay. I spent about $220 on it because there was also like a deal to make it cheaper. And when I got my first single story, I spent approximately $150 on it. The price it's going up, unfortunately. So it's not the most affordable option, but it is the most convenient for the day-to-day use. Next up, we have, I'm not going to try to pronounce this name because I don't know how. I'm just going to show you the cage. And this is approximately $108. As you can see, it doesn't have like bars. It has something that looks kind of like, what's it called? Not chicken wire. Hardware cloth, I think is what it is, with the square bars. So I don't know the diameters of that. I don't know if a rat could get through. But it has a solid floor, which is nice. However, it is a wooden cage. And even if it's treated so that it won't soak up urine, I highly do not recommend a wooden cage for rats. They will chew it. I've seen people with DIY cages that they made out of like dressers or shelving units, and across the board, all of them were like, oh, this did not work out long term. This was a bad idea. It smells. It's chewed up. It's hard to clean. So, like, I wouldn't do a wooden cage. But if you're still interested in it, the small version is 23.6 by 15.7 by 45 and has about 3 rats. And the large is $240. And that's 36 by 25 by 63.2, and that can house about 11 rats. I did subtract a little from the rat total because of the stance. All right. Next up, and the last for Amazon, we have the Yahitech, I think is how you pronounce it, 52-inch rat cage. I see this one a lot. This cage is approximately $88. It has 1-inch bar spacing, a wire flooring, and it is 25 by 17 by 48 and can house approximately 4 rats. This cage sucks. In my opinion, this cage is not suitable for any animal to live in. Like, it has a little bit of height, but even a chinchilla I wouldn't put in there. I feel like a chinchilla deserves way more space than most people think they do. It doesn't work. The 1-inch bar spacing, babies and female rats can squeeze right through that. We've seen it. My friend is stressing over here. The bottom has wire flooring, and because the doors are so small and how the bottom is, like, the bottom looks very loose. I've seen these cages in person, and the bottoms always just look like they're slowly breaking down. You can't fix the flooring necessarily. You'd have to, like, maybe put a towel down or something, but you can't get the deep substrate you would need. And it's just a cheap cage. It's like one of the first that pops up because it's a cheap cage. If you buy it, you're going to end up wanting to get a different cage sooner rather than later because you're going to find it doesn't work. I've gotten people asking me over on my Instagram, how do I keep this cage from smelling? Because they can't get enough substrate in there, so they're just filling it with fleece, and it smells because fleece doesn't absorb smell, and they don't know what to do. And it's like, well, unfortunately, your first step's going to be to get a better cage. I've seen some people who can make it work, but in my opinion, it's just not a good cage. All right, we're going over to miscellaneous websites, so we're starting with Exotic Nutrition. I don't know how good of a company Exotic Nutrition is. I've never gotten anything from them, but I have seen their cages. So the first one is their Mansion set, which is kind of like a Critter Nation dupe, which, like, I don't think Critter Nation was necessarily the first to come up with a design like this, but they're the one I'm familiar with, so I'm calling them all dupes. And it is, the single story is approximately $207. It has 1/2-inch bar spacing, solid flooring with, I believe it has a lip on the door, which means when you open it, the substrate's going to fall out anyway, but I can't remember if it's on the door or actually in the cage. And it is 22 by 32 by 22 again. It has approximately 3 rats. I've heard some people say it's like a little sturdier than a Critter Nation, which, like, a Critter Nation is held together mostly by tension. So if this one has bolts or something, I could see that, but I've never had an issue with my Critter Nations. And this one is, when did I get that? Was it 2019?
Maybe.
This one's at least 3 years old, 3.5 years old, something like that. And it's still just as good as the day I got it. The double is approximately $343. Also, 1/2-inch spacing, of course. Solid flooring. And it can house about 6 rats because it's, you know, double the size. I don't know if you can take the bottom out. I do know that you can get an add-on unit, which means you might be able to take the sides out and combine them. Baby. but I don't know anything else about this cage. So next is the Borneo from Exotic Nutrition. So this cage looks a little different, but it has like wide doors, so you can get a new bottom in. It does have solid flooring, but it's like very flat, so you'd have to get a new bottom in to get the substrate you would want. But because the doors are so wide, that wouldn't be a problem, I don't think. And it also comes with an add-on unit that you can attach. But just the original. You can get this cage, but to be perfectly honest, for the amount of money it's worth, you might as well get 2 Critter Nations, because just the original cage is $508. And then it has 1/2-inch bar spacing, solid flooring, and it's 25 by 40 by 46 and has approximately 10 rats. But again, for that price, is it worth it? So next we have the Wear Chew Proof cage. You can find this on Chewy. It is approximately $50, has 1/2-inch bar spacing, a metal floor, which is nice, but it is 17 by 12.75 by 24 and can only house 1 rat, so not really a cage worthwhile, but it does pop up often when you look up rat cages. I wouldn't even use this for, it's not a good recovery cage because it's too tall. It's not a good travel cage for the same reason. I just would skip this one. And then finally we have the Frisco cage, which is Chewy's brand. The Frisco brand is Chewy's brand. And it has another Critter Nation dupe. This one comes with a metal inside like this so that you can get a little bit higher substrate in there. The single is approximately $215. Hi, Phoebe. Has 1/2-inch bar spacing, solid flooring, and it is approximately 36 by 24.5 by 24.5 and can house about 4 rats.
There's also the movie The Frisco Kid with Gene Wilder and Harrison Ford, which I highly recommend.
This cage looks fine to me. For that price, it's more expensive than a Critter Nation, so you might as well just get a Critter Nation because at least you know how Critter Nation will work. Everyone recommends Critter Nations. I've never seen a Chewy cage in person or seen someone recommend it. So.
And with the star power of Gene Wilder and Harrison Ford, you can't miss. You get to see Harrison Ford in long johns and he was like in his 20s.
And then the double is approximately $327, and it can house up to 10 rats because it's just a teensy bit bigger, I think. But again, some of that's the stand, so I don't know if it can actually house 10 rats or if it's more accurate to say 9. But, you know. So yeah, those are all the cages that I found in just a little while of Googling. I think it's very clear which one I recommend for America. Again, the UK has so many different cage options. Like, they have wider cages, they have taller cages. I've seen one, I think it's like in Germany, that's like the size of like a Critter Nation and a half, and that's just the cage.
You know, they shot Willy Wonka in Germany, and that has Gene Wilder.
And it was so beautiful. This is just a normal dynamic, by the way.
I think you should watch every movie with Gene Wilder.
So, to end out this video, since it wasn't very rat heavy, I thought I'd go around and give every rat in the house a treat, and I would take you along.
Boys!
Fitzy, Ezra.
Cornflakes bring all the boys to the yard. Boys, boys, boys. I don't know what you did. Oh, it's my baby.
Lucky.
That's my baby.
Dorothy. Ducky. I promise I'll give you one.
These are my other babies.
Spector. Lockley. Oh, guess Grant got that one. Lockley. Sailor. I see you in there. Come on, Riffy. Riffy? I don't know where Heidi is. Oh, wait, here she is. You're gonna have to just watch me put my hand in here for Heidi. Heidi. Sunny and or cloud. Sunny and or cloud. Huggy. Humdrum spends all of her time sleeping because she's old.
I get the shaky cam. It's like we're in Jurassic Park. I apologize.
Come on, honey. I feel your nose. Come on. She tore a hole in the hammock and now she can't.
I can't
There we go. Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. She's cozy.
Feifel is in the space
Hex.
pod.
Spifey. Bug. Oh, he dropped a bug. Here you go. Hopper. I have to open the door for Orby. Honey. Come here, Orby. Oh,
Why do you call to her?
Because she might be deaf, but I can still talk to her. Lauren! There she goes. Can you see her under here? Lauren.
No, I can't.
Oh, she's
wait.
disappeared. And then one for the big rat.
The featured player. Have you guys ever seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Alright. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do all the fun stuff down below.
Comment which is your favorite Ninja Turtle. Sarah, who's your turtle?
I told you I have to watch the movie again.
Who's your favorite? Who's your heart tell you?
Probably Raphael.
Good.
Okay.
He's the leader of the group.
Goodbye.
Transformed from the norm by the nuclear goop.
Goodbye.
Okay.